So there's been a lot of anticipation, a lot of coverage of this summit, but we thought you might have a lot of basic questions about what it is and what's being discussed here. So our meteorologist, Johanna Wagstaff, has been assigned to that angle of the story. So much attention that's been paid on the build-up to these talks. Let's start with what this UN Climate Summit is.
Right. Well, we've got 150 world leaders in Paris over the next 2 weeks to talk about a new agreement for cutting greenhouse emissions. That's what they'll be discussing over the next 2 weeks. And this really is the first agreement since the Kyoto Protocol in 1997. That protocol, though, the big difference between the one that happened a couple of decades ago and the one we're aiming for is that Kyoto was non-binding. The U.S. never ratified that treaty. As well, worldwide cuts to emissions were not expected of developing countries, so China was not included in the Kyoto Protocol. So this new treaty is about what happens for the next decade and beyond.
Okay, let's talk about the goal of these talks.
Right, well, you've probably heard about this all magical 2-degree number. Let me put this into context first. The difference between the last ice age and the global temperatures right now is about 5 degrees. So the limit that we've set, or that global scientists have set, is a 2-degree temperature rise since pre-industrial levels. So temperatures cannot rise past pre-industrial levels, or else we're talking catastrophic climate change, catastrophic changes to food production, sea level rises, deserts, weather events. This is the basically threshold that global scientists have set. That's the 2-degree magic number.
So let's talk best case scenario, since we're optimists, and worst case scenario, starting with the bad news first. If the deal doesn't get done, then what?
Right. Well, I've got a graph to show you sort of where we're headed. This year, 2015, is the first year that global temperatures rose 1 degree past pre-industrial levels. So this was a significant milestone. We're already halfway to that 2-degree threshold. If we continue on a course that we're on unchecked, we're talking 4.5-degree temperature rise by the time we hit 2100. The current emissions that the leading emitters have already pledged for Paris, if we follow those numbers, we're talking 2.5 to 3.5 degree temperature rise by the time we hit 2100. Still well above where we need to be, which is that 2-degree mark, but you can see the range there well below that 4.5.
And best case scenario here?
Well, there is some positives here. This is an uphill battle, but we do know that a binding agreement is possible. A lot of the world leaders talk about hope that this will be a binding agreement by the time we hit the end of those 2 weeks. We also know that one of the big parts of the talks will be adaptation. We have to adapt to changing climate, and a big part of that, well, how do we support developing countries financially? And finally, another big part of the talks will be commitments to adopting new technologies. Maybe that difference to the 2-degree climate change number will come from private sectors, from businesses, from individuals. So again, uphill battle, but we're on our way.
All our questions answered in 2 minutes?
Basically.
Well done. Thank you.
You're welcome.